So I just want to thank you very much for spending your time. And what I'm going to ask you to do first is maybe just go through, introduce yourselves and what your daughter's studying, and maybe tell a little bit about yourselves. We'll do that, and then we'll open it up for sort of a Q&A, sort of parents asking parents whose daughters really aren't that much older than your own daughter. So if you guys would like to start, please, Sam and Susan.
My name is Sam Greer, and this is my wife, Susan. Our daughter, Gino, she is in the second year nano engineering technology.
My name is Lori Laughlin Hillier. My daughter is Kaylin Hillier. She's sitting in the back. Wave, sweetie. She's in her final year of geological engineering.
And we are here with Helen Allen, and our daughter is in the middle of her third year of chemical engineering.
Okay, so you guys all introduce yourselves? Excellent. So let's just open it up for Q&A. Are there any questions that the parents might have about, their daughters being away from home or the transition? Are all of you guys engineers? Oh no, all the daughters are engineers, but what about the parents or any of you guys?
I'm working as a teacher. I'm working with the Hartman School Board. And my background is science, it's a biology and chemistry. And he's working as a quality inspector in Burlington.
I'm a high school English teacher. I come from a liberal arts background. We're not sure exactly where it came from. I've been teaching high school English for many, many years with the Peel District School Board.
I'm Helen Allen, and I come from a basically finance and accounting background. I'm not sure where we are on your abilities from my side of the family.
And I graduated from the University of Uwaterloo in math.
Mike's a little bit closer to her.
Absolutely. We felt very strongly about what she was applying for. It was a complete surprise to us. In grade 8, our daughter won the science award. We had no idea where that came from. And through her high school education, she got involved in FIRST robotics, and she was an electrical leader on the robotics team for 4 years, and she certainly enjoyed it. But her basic engineering overview came from the engineers that she worked with in FIRST robotics. She had she was involved very heavily with them through weekends and nights at Brooklyn High School, and it was a one-on-one. It was a very good.
Is everybody familiar with the FIRST Robotics program? So this is a program that started in the early 90s by Dean Kamen. He's the guy that invented Segway and things like this. So it's a US-based program, but it's gone all over the world. And we have, I think, 3 or 4 schools locally that participate in it. So it's the first robotics competition, FRC. At Waterloo, we actually host one of the regional competitions in March. And so this is sort of a team that gets together and they compete against other teams, and they're given sort of a challenge every year to build a robot, and it's to play typically a game. And really, Dean started it. He said one of his motivations was to give kids a chance that weren't athletic that opportunity to work in a team environment together. So these competitions are fantastic. There's a lot of lights and sounds, and everybody's hyped up. And it's the robots that are competing. They design these robots to whatever it might be. So that's what she's referring to. So it's good in the sense that you have a lot of mentors on the team, not only engineers, but sort of business, because part of it's sort of an engineering company who explains, what the program is and things like that. So. Okay, sorry.
This one for us, just for the camera.
With my daughter, we weren't sure what direction she was going to take early on in her academic career.
Okay, thanks.
She won a writing award, and I thought, oh, she's a writer, that was wonderful. But by grade 11 and 12, she was telling me that physics is everything. Think faster I was in Greek and Shakespeare, that sort of, her math, science, all of those scores were honorable scores. She always did very well in school, but she did very, very well in 4-year-old English. She had many pathways open to her, and we just encouraged her to follow that which she was most interested in. I remember the summer between grade 11 and 12, she was saying, well, I don't think I want to do this, and I don't think I want to do that, and I don't think I want to do this. And I said, stop. What do you do then? And she said, chemistry, geography, math, and physics. And I said, do you electrical engineering? And then we just started to look into that, and that's where she headed to go. I would say that Caitlin's overall education experience was a positive one. She had a very experimental year in grade 6 in a very small elementary school. It had a very environmental slant to it. And so she had these feelings of a yearning towards science, I think, early on. And then she just sort of excelled at those sorts of things. And you just sort of watch your children, you watch how they grow, you look where their interests lie, and that's where you encourage them. And if they have any abilities in the sciences, I think that has to be really nurtured. And as I said, with Caitlin, between grade 11 and 12, she was involved in the Shad Valley program, which I would highly recommend. It was a wonderful experience for her. She spent July at Lakehead University, and they were doing all kinds of different science-related, entrepreneurial-related activities. And she came home and pretty much knew which direction she wanted to head. If you allow them all these different experiences that are put before them to participate in different workshops or camps or whatever the case may be, they'll find their way.
And I guess just to add to that, I think, again, you want to encourage your daughters to continue taking the math and sciences so that all their options are open in grade 12. So that because, again, very quickly, like by grade 9, they can start to sort of select courses which, when they do that, they're already making decisions or cutting off what places they can go. So it's very important, even if it's a little difficult, to encourage them to do that. Because again, by the time they're in grade 12, then they've got every possibility open to them still. So it's really about keeping your options open, I think. So maybe I'll ask a question. So how was the transition? How did you feel as parents with the transition when your daughter left home to go into university? Were you worried, and how did you help, how did she manage that transition, and how did you help her manage that for going into first year?
The first year it was really hard, for like every normal parents, we were really worried. We don't know what to do, and she said it was really hard at the beginning, and she was an IB student. So at some courses she was okay with that. Then after that she said, it's really hard, I don't know how to survive. But I said, it's okay. You will survive, just, whatever you learned from high school, keep it up. And she survived the whole year. Now the second year, she's okay. I'm not worried at all.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that.
First year everywhere, like, even if it's grade 7 and 8 and you're going to high school, the same problem. There's a transition. But they will survive.
And we will. I think with my daughter, the situation was she sort of was pushing us away while she was going out and having fun in Frosh Week. I think that's a really good introduction. She met some of her lifelong friends during Frosh Week, and she has been very, very active in the engineering society. I think that academics is so important. They do need to focus on school. That's what the big bucks are going for. But getting involved and getting to know other people, it becomes a really strong support network that I think that it would have been very difficult for her to survive if she didn't have that support network. So I really encourage the social side of school as well. There has to be a balance, absolutely, but I think it's really important to be involved.
Well, from Leah's perspective, she lived in residence, okay, so she met a lot of new people as she came into residence. She got very involved in Frosh Week's engineering society throughout her years. She's in her third year now. So I think she mingled a lot and got really involved with all the activities that were social as well as the academics.
And yes.
What about athletics, like varsity sports? How does that work with first year? engineering. Anybody have any experience with that?
So maybe I'll comment on that. Like again, it's a little bit, because the Waterloo system is so much, you're academically 4 months and then co-op 4 months, it's a little bit hard because of the varsity, but what we try and do with those students is make sure they can get a co-op in town or at the university type thing to help support, you know, the season that they're in type thing. So we do have some students that do participate in that. We try and accommodate that. So, but it's definitely sort of in the minority. There's not that many students that fall into that category.
So workload-wise, because first year is a very heavy
Yeah.
year, is there accommodation for being able to make that work?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that actually. So, because again, it's so rare. I'm not sure actually. So, again, maybe somebody else could talk about that. But I know I played varsity volleyball when I was at McGill, and it's just you got to organize your time type thing. And I think when you are an athlete like that, you get used to doing those kinds of things. So, but I don't think there's any. Sorry?
Can I make a comment?
Yeah, sure.
I know Kayla was a Nordic skier.
Okay.
An OFSA medaling Nordic skier. And she decided that in first year that it was just going to be too much to even consider joining a varsity team. And I know that as she went through school, and like I said, she's in her last year now, co-op becomes an issue because it could be during the season in which your sport is running. So it sort of has to fall by the wayside. But there are intramurals and there's other ways of being active.
And I know for sure for some of the people that do varsity, we try and give them a position on campus or locally so they can still participate in that. So, but I don't think there's accommodation in terms of the academics. So, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So, check with that. Yes.
So you were saying co-op's pretty competitive, like for the first year. Is there any suggestions you have as for experience or something that will give them an edge on getting a job?
I'd like to say something on that. I found that Leah's volunteering led a lot to her success in the interviewing skills and whatever. So a lot of volunteer work before she.
What kind of volunteering?
She did, well, through the robotics, she spent a lot of time there, but she was in a Christian group at our church. She did traveling with, there was different trips through high school, and she volunteered at Coach arranging that.
My daughter, she was in Sharwari when she was in grade 10. And that's where she got her first year call with the outreach program. And that's what she did. She likes that, but she's in nanotechnology. But first year you won't get anything like related to your program, but she's okay. At least get some experience.
So I should say, yeah, Ginu, their daughter, actually worked with us this past summer to help design some of the activities for the program today. But it wasn't just because she was in Shad Valley. So it was because she was, you know, she was an enthusiastic student. She was very interested in women in engineering. And in fact, she attended GoEngGirl herself when she was like in, I don't know if it was grade 10 or 11 or grade 9 or 10. So we like that part too, because she'd actually attended one herself. Not here, but another location. So, yes?
I'm assuming your daughters are residents. The one couple spoke about that. Just if you could expand on that and how that went.
Our daughter was in residence the first year, and she found it very rewarding. She met most of her friends that she still has now. After that, she found off-campus housing. But the friends that she made in residence, she's kept right along right up to third year, the same resident students.
And it was a good experience.
It was an excellent experience.
Did any of your other daughters spend time in residence? Or?
Yeah, my daughter spent time in NKB. It's a suite style residence, and the friends that she made in residence are some of her housemates to this day still. It was a very positive experience. She felt very safe there. I think it's it's the best place to be in first year. You want to be on campus meeting people.
And did Ginu stay in residence or?
St. Jerome.
St. Jerome's, okay.
She stayed there. She's still keeping all of her friends. It's really good.
Yes?
Do any of you have experience in your children getting scholarship to entrances to the university in this program? And what kind of scholarships? How did you get them?
Coming out of high school, I think Leah got the Queen Elizabeth Scholarship. Okay, so that's what she's going to receive.
She's managed to keep it for 3 years.
So what did she have to show to, or
It was just remarks.
okay, based on academics?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Caleb came out of high school with a number of scholarships as well. We're from a fairly large high school, and there were a lot of awards that were given at commencement that are just based in our home community. In addition, she had a president's entrance scholarship and something else.
She doesn't remember.
A faculty scholarship as well. And they were just things that were, wow, I got money. Like they were just granted based on her transcript and her application.
You know, also a scholarship from the university.
Yes?
I'm a former undergrad, master's, and I'm currently doing my PhD part-time here. And when you come, there are certain awards that are, like I said, academically, they're automatically granted to some students, but they have an entire database of scholarships and bursaries. So bursaries are financially dependent, whereas the scholarships are more academically based. But for all disciplines, there are some scholarships that are specifically geared towards women in engineering. There's a lot of corporate sponsorships available. And again, it's a database. You go online and you say, this is the program that I'm in. And then there's an application. You can put an application and say, yeah, I'm interested in getting this scholarship. And the scholarship ranges anywhere from a few $100s to a few thousand.
So it's all in the university's website?
Yes, you can go through the university, and then it also branches, it's a large database, not just within the university, but you're looking at up to Canada-wide, anything that would apply for an engineering type of program.
Yes?
What percentage of scholarships are offered to engineering students? Or what percentage of the engineering students are under scholarships?
I'm not sure. Maybe the recruitment people know. I don't know that sort of fact off the top of my head. So, yes?
Yeah, it's a question for Lori. We're also in appeals school board.
Okay.
And my daughter is very interested in one of the RAP programs. The only thing is, I'm sometimes a little bit afraid it's a little bit limiting in terms of being able to take all the sciences and all the maths, if you know what I mean.
Right, I
You can
do.
only take so many. What's your advice on that?
I teach at Mayfield,
That's
which is
what
a
she wants
regional
to
arts
know.
school, which she's probably applying to.
Yes.
We have a number of RAP kids who successfully balance. When you're taking a regional arts program, you have to focus in that art for both semesters, so it does cut out one elective.
Yes.
I am proud to say that this year, a brand new first-year engineering student who was in my English class last year was also in the visual arts program at Mayfield, and she's made the transition very nicely.
Okay.
It can be a little limiting, but not necessarily. It's not going to harm her.
Okay, now with that being said, with it being limited, that's fine because she likes the arts and I do encourage that. But at the end, can you go back, I guess, to take, is there any offering where they say you're missing one of the maths?
Summer school.
Yeah, is there
Yes.
room for that?
There's something that we call the Victory Lap as well, which is an extra semester in high school.
Yes.
And that's an option too, because they're fairly young when they're making this life-changing decision. So if they did want to take an extra semester, they could do that as well. But there's often summer school options. I know a lot of the kids in regional arts, as a matter of course from grade 9, take summer school courses so that their selections during the school year can be a little bit more solid.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well,
There was a question back here that I sort of, is there, oh, yes, in the pink.
we're high school people, but
Yeah, okay, yeah, you guys answer it.
what I was going to say is certainly in, how old is your daughter?
Grade 9.
Grade 9. So certainly in grade 9, she's going to have a broad spectrum. She's going to have geography. She's going to have English. You do have a broad spectrum in grade 9, and then you can narrow your focus a little bit more. But I mean, you're going to be taking English every year. You have to take English because you have to have your English to graduate. And then there is space in there. You're going to take Canadian history in grade 10. If she decides she likes history, maybe she likes economics, and she'll go to the economics and science group. Like, there is space to fit it in. What you need to do is sort of map it out. You can start now and say, okay, this is grade 9, first semester, second semester. Grade 10, well, she has to have this, this, and this. What else can we build in? She has to have a senior social science to graduate. She has, you know, there are certain things that have to be covered. So you map out grade 10, then you map out grade 11, and then you can map out grade 12. But you have to figure out where it is that she wants to go and follow the correct path. But there are options there. She will have a choice before she has to narrow that down.
There's different ways, right? If you go to science, math all the time, then you're missing some point of like the history or so stuff. Then if you go to the other way, then you miss the like I say grade 10. I switch her to the social or the business road. Then she missed the science and the math in the grade 10.
Summer school. Summer school. Yeah. You can access it in the only way they get what they want to fit in. Civics and careers between grade 9 and 10 in the summer school makes grade 10 much more wide open.
Take it online at night.
Or take it online at night? Okay, I didn't even know they could do that. Okay, yeah. Okay, all right.
So can I add a question to that?
You want to add something? Sure. Oh.
So what's important, to be creative, getting into arts for high school, or to continue with the academic and science and math?
Both, yeah. Again, you need certain requirements. You need the physics, you need the advanced math to be able to even apply. So you need to have those as sort of the baseline, but creativity is very important too, so.
I would say my daughter's very creative.
Yeah.
And she still embraces that side of her life.
Yeah. Yes, right here.
As a teacher, when you hear Amanda saying that she went in with a 90% in the first year and then she's down to a 71, do you find there's a concern there that the curriculum at the high school level isn't enough for engineering? Like,
I would say,
do you think engineering is like, I'm going to be biased, is one step higher than maybe science or kinesiology? Like, is there something that I can prepare my child to go into university without, getting nervous saying, okay, she goes in with a 88 average into first year university and I'm just sweating buckets here, or she might drop down to a 65 and not, is there,
I would say that the Ontario curriculum is, you shouldn't really get me started on this. I'm very political. I would say that the Ontario curriculum is renowned worldwide. I think that we do prepare our students really well for post-secondary education. I also believe that there is a little bit of variance between boards, unfortunately. Like I know the standards at some high schools are a lot more stringent than they are at other high schools. For example, to be on the honor roll at my school, you need an 85% average. At most high schools, it's 80. So the kids work just that much harder, perhaps, to try and make honor roll. I don't know. But I think that the curriculum that's out there right now is quite adequate. I think that if students in first year do have a little drop, you have to consider all the things that are going on in their lives during first year. They're away from home, they're meeting new people, they're not sleeping the same way, they're not eating the same way, you're not there telling them to do their homework. Like, there's so many variables. So it's not alarming to me. Like, my son graduated with an 85% average and dropped last year to a 60. I was a little concerned, but he was also a varsity athlete. So I didn't beat him up about it. This year he's doing much better already. So you have to, you can prepare them for that. And it's not that they're any lesser of a person or a student because of it.
And I think that's a good point. Like, it's really emotionally for the student that was a 90 student to become a 70 student is devastating for many of them. So, and again, we see a lot of times the rebound in the market. It's that transition from, you're becoming an independent person now and stuff. So it's like, as Lauren said, it's a lot of other issues around that. So, yes, at the back.
It's been addressed that there's a limitation to how many courses they can take. I'm wondering how valuable continuing in a second or third language is in the field of engineering, given that it's a global sort of career that you look at.
Depending on what they want to do, again, I think it is valuable, and depending where they want to work in the world and stuff, for sure. if you're working for a multinational company and they see you've got a second language, that could give you the edge. Or again, if you want to do a co-op overseas or something like that, that can definitely play a role into that. So, yes? Well, no, we don't. Actually, we don't do that. We don't do that at all. So again, it's based on the marks. We do have some more experience with some local high schools like WCI. We get a lot of applicants from there and stuff. So we do see, like in terms of a 90 student from WCI, how they do in engineering. So sometimes we'll look at those kinds of things, but we don't have any preference for any sort of high schools at all. So yes.
Waterloo, among other universities, offers competition tests to high school students, math tests, physics tests. Did any of your daughters take any of those during high school? Ever hear of them?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, what was the outcome from that, and you know, where did they fit in? Because I believe they rank from in percentile or something.
Caitlin's nodding up there. I think she did pretty well. I don't think she embarrassed herself. Do you want to say anything?
Okay, so I did the high school physics competitions all the way through, and I never really performed overly well in them, but it definitely showed me that I needed to improve my sort of analytical thinking if I wanted to excel in physics. By the time I was in first year, because I had that exposure to more difficult physics tests that were actually written by professors at this university, I was really well prepared for Physics 115, and that's like the notorious midterm that people typically fail, and I think I got perfect when they built it, so it does prepare you really well because you can anticipate the structure of the tests.
Okay, yes?
I've heard from many professors when the kids join in first year, they say, forget everything you've learned in high school, start from scratch. Is that true?
No, I don't think so. Sorry, the question was, he's heard from some professors, not me, but other professors know that you forget everything from high school and you start from scratch, and then they're starting to learn all over again, so. But no, I don't think that's true, so. No, that's not true. Yes? So did everybody hear the question? So how involved were the parents in their daughter's education and decision-making and things like that, so?
Actually, we did, and when she was in grade 7 and 8, and we sent her to lots of, like alternative program like engineering and math here in Hamilton. So we sent her lots of things. She likes math too much, and I don't know why. And she already, grade 11 and 12, she was discussing about that. I don't know what to do. She was thinking about only taking math. Then after that, she said, no, I will go for engineering. And she heard the new engineering field in nanotechnology. And she likes to do lots of research. So she selected that. We just supported her. And whatever she's doing, we always encouraging her. We cannot push her back. So then we have to find out their, interest and involvement. Yeah, that's what we did.
Okay. Do anybody else want to make a comment, or?
I think with Kaylin, she pretty much had her own path laid out. She's pretty determined, and she is pretty organized, and I think that was really important. And she would come to us and say, this is what I'm thinking, and we would say, if that's what you want, that's what we'll support. And then it was just a matter of encouraging her through that, all the way along. She was always very motivated. She wasn't one that I had to sort of hover over and say, have you done your homework? That was the younger brother. But she pretty much knew the direction she wanted to go because she had lots of information. I guess the other thing is she was a student at my school. And so I had lots of connections to help her out too.
Do you guys make any comments on that, or?
I think with Leah, we didn't really have to push her at all. Coming out of grade school, she knew that she wanted to be in kind of the science, math area. So as she went through high school, I think she was more considering biology area versus engineering. Then as she worked through
First, yeah.
and then met with a number of engineers from GM. GM actually helped mentor the first team. She got really involved in that and made her decision to come to be in engineering, and thus had taken all the courses that she needed in high school to go into the engineering program.
Okay, well, I think we're sort of over time now, so I think I'm going to end it here. But I want to thank our parent panel very much. So that was great.